So one of the questions we get all the time is, can you off-road a two-wheel drive truck? But there's really a lot more questions involved in that one, like what do you even consider off-roading? Sometimes you might be on a gravel trail, sometimes you might be going up a hill, might be going through a mud hole. There's a lot of different situations you can be in, and there's also a lot of different two-wheel drive trucks. So the Lexus behind me is actually the four-wheel drive vehicle that we brought out here, and we also brought two additional two-wheel drive trucks. On one hand, we've got a super beat-up, old, manual transmission, crank window GMC Sierra 2500 on some 17x9s and 33s, and on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have a fully built pre-runner with a long travel kit. It's also got 17-inch methods and 37-inch open country MTs. That one's got a welded diff. This one has an open diff, which pretty much means it's one-wheel drive, and on this side, we've got an actual two-wheel drive vehicle. So the question is, can the two-wheel drive vehicles actually be capable off-road? So we're gonna put these things through a series of different tests today. First off, we're gonna start with a hill climb, I think, and we'll just see what we can do and if we end up getting a couple of these trucks stuck. So before we get into actually testing these things out, I wanted to go over a few details of each vehicle so you're a bit more familiar with them. Our baseline four-wheel drive vehicle is a Lexus GX470, which, if you aren't familiar, shares many similarities with the FJ Cruiser, but it has a 4.7 liter V8. Another important thing to note is the Lexus is technically all-time all-wheel drive, but it has a locking center differential to lock in four-wheel drive and also has a true manual lever to engage for low, on top of Toyota's advanced traction management system called A-Track. For wheels and tires, Jerry's running 17-inch methods and just under 33-inch Wrangler Duratracs. Now for our two-wheel drive trucks. On the Rowdy side, we have a very custom F-150 pre-runner dubbed the GT Runner. Today was actually its first time out since being put on its roof, ironically, by Jerry, the Lexus owner. This is a 5-liter two-wheel drive F-150 with a fiberglass front end and bed sides, and the truck has been back halved. There's huge amounts of travel and king coilovers, shocks, and bump stops all the way around. Dylan is also running 17-inch methods, but has the largest tires in the group with 37-inch Toyo MTs. Then you have the old 2500. This is actually one of my personal vehicles, and it really only gets used to tow stuff around, which is why I didn't care that it was two-wheel drive. It's about as bare bones as it gets, other than the 17-inch Anthems and 33-inch Venom Power XT tires, which we would definitely put through the paces. To add to the fun, this truck is also a 5-speed manual. Our first obstacle, I guess you could say, was the hill climb. So Jerry shot up first near effortlessly in the Lexus and actually said when he got to the top that he probably hit it much faster than he actually needed to, and I definitely agreed with him. That was just too easy, and we really expected nothing less. The pre-runner is up next. Now, I think there are two things to keep in mind when watching this video. With enough speed, anything is possible, and secondly, if you simply don't care, anything can be an off-road vehicle. So, with some speed, the pre-runner hit the bottom of the incline, and it didn't make it far at all before the rear started spinning, and we just knew it wasn't going to make it up. Now, rather than destroy the trails for the next guys, we shut her down and backed down the hill to give it another shot. And again, it was the same story. Even with some run-up, the pre-runner just couldn't make it happen. So I hopped in the work truck, put it in second gear, and hit it with some speed. And to my surprise, I did actually make it slightly higher than the pre-runner, but still nowhere near the top, and I just about bounced myself out of the cab doing so. From there, we got back on the gravel trail and headed out to find the next challenge. So we come down a hill and there's a large watery mud hole, and Jerry tells me I might as well go first, that way he could pull me back out. So not knowing how deep it was, I inched my way in and just felt the front of the truck sinking deeper and deeper, and getting water in the intake was not something that I was interested in. So with water up to the doors, we called it quits and I attempted to back out, which didn't go all that well.
This is some killer footage.
Surprisingly, I actually had more traction than I expected with the Venom Power tires, which are super affordable. I think if I didn't care at all and used speed, I may have made it through going forward. On the opposite end of that, a four-wheel drive truck with a high enough intake or snorkel could have made it without issue and probably could have just crawled through. As we continued down the trail, there were a few more muddy sections where the Lexus just crawled through, but to ensure I didn't get stuck, I just gave it lots of throttle and bounced around quite a bit.
Oh, that's deep.
And the pre-runner really used a similar tactic, but wow, significantly smoother.
Yep, it gets deep fast.
At one point, we hopped out to film a steeper rocky section, and of course on camera it doesn't look like much, and it wasn't a huge feature by any means, but it was enough to test the trucks. So Jerry was first in line again and drove right up, nothing special, just four-wheel drive and four high, and up he went. So rather than approach this one with speed, I wanted to really let the tires and the truck do the work, so I put it in first, which is extremely low in the 2500, and crawled up it. Even at just 2 to 3 miles per hour, it was very, very rough. And the tough part about being manual is that your front tires will hit a rock, slow the truck down, and you don't want to stall it, so you give it a bit of throttle, and then it pops over the rock too quickly, and you just get this super uncomfortable bucking back and forth. But I do have to say, at about 22 psi, the tires gripped the rocks just fine, and I had almost no wheel spin on the way up. The pre-runner, of course, made it look easy. So pay attention to how much my cab moves versus the pre-runner. It just kind of floats over the top, minus one large hit and painful metal on rock sound. To be fair, if we were letting the pre-runner run as intended, Dylan likely could have hit this particular section of trail north of 50 or 60 miles per hour. The last bit of fun for the day was really just letting the pre-runner stretch her legs. Now this is where two-wheel drive shines. Now that's not to say a four-wheel drive truck can't also bomb down the trails at high speed, but two-wheel drive sure is more fun. With stock suspension though, my limitation in the 2500 was simply how much abuse I wanted to put the truck through. If you look at races like King of the Hammers, where they have open classes, and there's guys with all-wheel drive trucks running against two-wheel drive trucks, the all-wheel drive ones handle the rocks and vertical climbs better, but they sacrifice that top speed, and they're more prone to mechanical failures. The two-wheel drive guys can get upwards of 130, 140 miles per hour across the flats, but they also have to hit the inclines at high speed, and are usually just spinning tires and barely making it over the top in some sections. So, can you off-road a two-wheel drive? Yeah, and with the right equipment you might make it a lot further than you thought, but I still would never try anything too extreme out on your own or without a winch, because eventually you'll end up stuck on something, or you'll hit something so hard that you're going to need a friend to drag you out of the woods and onto a trailer. So hopefully that answers your questions, and I hope you liked the video. If you want to check out more stuff, smash the subscribe button, or check out our website at customoffsets.com. Peace.
Glad I put this cage on this camera because that was not good.